Hey everyone, it's FrSkyStve. Welcome back to the channel. We are talking about setting up a down and dirty build. Not a lot of extra, not a lot of fluff. Let's just get right to the point here. We are setting up landing gear for this plane. And you're saying, my gosh, Steve, I don't know much, but the one thing I do know is that this has fixed landing gear. Why would we set up retractable landing gear for a plane that has fixed landing gear? And I have a simple solution for you, a simple answer. It's because other people who might be watching this will have retractable landing gear, and they're going to ask at this point, how do you set up retractable landing gear? Not very difficult. If your plane has fixed gear, you can probably skip this episode altogether, but if not, let's get into this and start talking about how you set up retractable landing gear. As you can see, I've set up switch C. What I was hoping for is switch C up. The landing gear is retracted. And then the middle and down can be landing gear down. And then the reason for this is I only have a certain number of, actually there's only one 2-position switch on all the X18, X20 based transmitters. And if you're like using this plane where it has a throttle kill, I would like to use that 2-position switch for throttle kill, and so thus I need an extra switch. SC is available, and even though it's a 3-position switch, we're going to treat it like a 2-position switch. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are now going to jump right into the Ethos simulator, and we are going to start talking about setting up a model. We're going back into mixes. Well, we're in the model creation process. We're going to go back into mixes here. You can see I've already created one. I've had to delete this because I actually didn't have my microphone plugged in. So I had a really nice episode. It was perfect, and now I have to do it all over again. Oh, but you guys are worth it. So what we do is we simply see that there's nothing here that says landing gear, so we have to create one. And this is the secret little spot right here. Hit the plus button, and I get all these oh so wonderful canned mixes, and they do a lot of really neat and interesting things, but the one thing they don't do is landing gear. So there's nothing here that says landing gear, but I do have something called free mix. And what is free mix? Free mix is something that we can rename and create to our own pleasure. So we can make this landing gear, we can make it a grappling hook, we can make it something to turn lights on. There's just a lot of different things you can do with a free mix. A smoke pump, yeah, a lot of things. So what I do is I click on it once and I put it in last position. And what that means is that it goes all the way at the bottom here. As you look at it, you can see that there's free mix, set up no channels, and there's no source. So this is pretty much worthless. We're going to fix one thing at a time. So the first thing we want to do is go into edit and change free mix to, keep hitting this page up, page down to delete the name, and I simply name it gear. That's where the gear name came from. And if I go back, I can go into, I don't know why my dog is melting down, but she's melting down in the background. I'm sorry about that. If we go back to mixes, you'd see that we have the name gear working, but there's no channels associated. So let's go back in there and associate a channel with it. Long press on it. We only need one channel, and because of that, I wanted to show you that channels 1 through 7 are used, so the next available channel is 8. So long press on it again, go all the way to the bottom one more time, and switch this over to channel 8. And I'm done. It'll ask me if I want it. It doesn't have a name. Do I want to name it the same thing I named it above? I say yes. So now channel 8 is gear. We are good. We're ready. We got too far out of it here. So we have gear on channel 8. Our source, still there's no source. The last thing we need to do is give it a source, or close to the last thing we have to do. We go into edit, and source, we already talked about this being switch C. So now we've got this mostly set up, but the problem is that you have negative 100, 0, and 100. Now, somewhere along the line, it's going to switch from up to down. I don't know what that magic number is. I don't know if 100% retracts the gear or deploys the gear. So, but I do know is I don't really trust 0%. How do you get around it? We go in here and just click on this one where this is always on. It has a weight of 100%. Change that to curve, and we are going to set up we're going to add a curve, and this is going to be a custom curve, and I'm going to give it a really descriptive name. It's a gear, and the type is custom, and instead of being 5 points, it's a 3-point curve. And what we do is we go down here and go to each point. The first point right here is set up 10%. I am going to change this to negative 100. And then the next point right here, I am also going to change this to negative 100. And the last point is one that I changed to positive 100. Now we have a kind of cool switch setup. It goes from negative 100 to negative 100 to positive 100. And you might say to yourself, you check this out, and when the switch is all the way up, the gears might retract, and when the switch is all the way down, the gears will come out. And maybe that's the way you like to see it. Maybe it's opposite. Maybe when it's all the way up, that's when the gears come down. It depends on your situation. And also, I don't know what's going to make the gear come up or down. Is it positive 100 or negative 100? I think it's different from gear to gear. So this is where you play with it a little bit. Now, there's two ways. If it's wrong, there's two ways you can fix it. The first way, and this is the slowest way to do it, is to go in here and change all these values. So you would make this positive 100, positive 100, negative 100. And that would reverse everything. A little faster way to do it is to go right here. And we're going to long press on this and select negative. And what that does is it inverses the switch. So what used to be, if the gear is exactly going the opposite way you want it to go, that will switch it so it goes the right direction, because it inverses everything. Down is up, up is down, fixes everything. That's the fastest and easiest way to do it. In case that didn't do it, you can go long press on it again and unselect it. So that's all you have to do with landing gear. And with that, we are done. And thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.